guys, I'm just in my hothouse and I was going to give you a quick tour through my hothouse, my gardens and then my pantry to show you where I'm at. We start our challenge tomorrow, our grow, forage, trade and sell challenge where we're only going to eat what we grow, what we can forage, what we can barter and trade, and what we can purchase through the money with the produce that we sell from the farm. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown to show you what seedlings I've got in here, to show you what's getting ready to get in the ground this spring. Spring starts tomorrow, a challenge starts tomorrow, and it's also Father's Day tomorrow. I'll start with underneath. I've got a heap of carrots, I've got a couple of tomatoes and some Chinese broccoli through here. And then on this side I've just got some coriander, I think you call this cilantro in other parts of the world, some Chinese broccoli, my ginger, and just some pot plants. And then up here we have a heap of tomatoes. They haven't all sprouted yet, but tomatoes, eggplants, these are my dahlias, some Asian greens, some cabbages, more tomatoes, some more dahlias, tomatoes, honey locusts for the food forest, more eggplants and chilies and capsicums. These are more dahlias. We've got some comfrey we're growing from seed at the back there, and some arrowroot, some Queensland arrowroot. These are artichokes, more artichokes, some rosella or hibiscus, garlic chives and more tomatoes, some medicinal herbs, and up here we've got more chilies and tomatoes and cabbages. What else do we have? Some basil, more dahlias and more kind of brassica things, more broccolis and stuff like that. And then at the back there's pigeon peas. Back here I have my berries, my cane berries. Just got to trellis one more and give it a weed, and then I really need to weed these beds because they're overgrown and disgusting. But we'll be getting some brassicas in those beds, I believe. And then over here I've got all my garlic, well, most of my garlic, about 1,000 bulbs are in here. So they'll be ready from November till about February. So I planted my ones that I'm harvesting in November here, and then we kind of work towards February all the way back there. We're now in the food forest, and I don't reckon there'll be much food coming out of here this year. Maybe a few apples and a few plums, and that's probably about it. I do have some potatoes growing in the swales, and some Jerusalem artichokes growing in the berms above it. I did try to grow sweet potato in here last year and I didn't have a heap of luck. I'll probably try and grow them somewhere else this year, but I'll be planting a heap of medicinal plants through here and herbs. So I'll probably get a few things, but I'm not expecting a huge harvest. The soil in here is probably the worst on the farm. This is where the original orchard was placed, and this is why we've turned this into the food forest. We're just trying to increase the organic matter, and once we do that we should have beautiful soil. So short run not great, long run will probably be a great spot for us. But underneath these trees here, there, I planted some potatoes that we found in the bins that we get, that we compost. So I've just planted them there, just so they can break up the clay a little bit. Probably won't get a great harvest, but you know, it's alright. It doesn't matter. We're not losing anything from that. This was the old compost pile, and I planted a heap of potatoes in here. So hopefully we get a little harvest. I am going to mound this up with mulch once they start poking through. Now we have some of my citrus. I've got my yellow grapefruit, which I still have some fruit on, and a heap of lemons over there. And then if I turn around, I've got my onions in this bed and my carrots in that bed. And if I bring you over here, I've got a few more, sorry, something's in my eyes. Try and find a better, there we go. I've got a few more garlic clove bulbs in here with a heap of parsley, and then I've also got a heap of brassica there as well, which is doing really well. I got a really good harvest out of here last year. They really love this soil, so we keep refreshing it each season, and yeah, just love it here. So We planted them again here, so you can see how well they're doing behind this mountain of parsley. And then I've got all my herbs here, so it's doing really well. They've loved this winter rain, so everything's just flourished. So I've got a bit more garlic in there, lots of parsley, coriander, got some coriander in there, lemon balm, rosemary, mince, oregano, and then through here I've got a heap of rhubarb. So now I'm going to take you down to my main growing area. This is what we call the monster veggie patch. We have quite a bit of kale and parsley at the moment, and a heap of brassicas in the ground, so a heap of seedlings here. This is my celery, some more mature brassicas, some more garlic, got some beets in the ground over here, you can't see them yet, and then my mature brassicas here. I've got cauliflower, a heap of broccoli and some cabbages. Got some beets in the ground, a few carrots. And over here we've got some peas. I think these ones are snow peas, and then I've got my potting peas, and then behind it the broad beans. I do have some turnips in here too, some seeds, so they you can't see them, they're still too small. And then I've got a heap more peas through here. I've got like some broad beans, some more potting peas, some purple potting peas, some sugar snaps and all that sort of stuff. These ones are a non-staking variety. They make all these tendrils and they kind of climb up each other, so I thought that was really cool. I really liked them. And then the green manures, a heap of green manure. So we can chop and drop that and mulch these beds for spring. And then we've got our spinach here, some lettuce, heaps of beets. These are our turnips. These have been doing really well. Don't know if I can show you one. There we go. In here. They're doing really well. They're really popular to sell as well, so that's so cool. I've got some more baby radishes here. A few over there that are, oops, where are we? Ready to harvest. And then these are like the ball carrots, or the Paris carrots. They're like a ball, so they're really good for clay soil because they don't need to go down, so hopefully they'll be ready soon. Now behind my hothouse is an absolute mess. It's shocking. Yeah, I really need to weed this, but I've got a few cabbages here. There's one that I've already harvested and it's making new heads, but down here there's one that I can harvest. There's a couple of those, and there's a couple of, where are we? Brussels sprouts too. So we have a little bit of food. We're certainly not going to starve by starting this at the beginning of spring, but we're going to have to be creative for a while, I think. I'm also going to run you through my pantry in a tick. It is really full. I've always had a really well-stocked pantry because I love to cook. But also moving out here, it's hard to get whole foods out here, so I buy things, in bulk. 25 kilos of flour at a time, 20 kilos of sugar at a time. I use that for my kombucha and for my preserves. And stuff like almond meal and coconut flour, that was all bought in 10 kilo-ish bags. So I've still got quite a few ingredients in my pantry, and I don't want to chuck them out because that's just really wasteful and really pointless. Especially because it's mainly organic as well. So I am going to be using those up. We're going to be eating as much as we can from the land, but we will supplement it to make creative meals with the whole foods in my pantry. So I still got like a lot of beans and pulses, but we'll run through that in there. The only thing I have that's pre-made and pre-packaged are my taco shells and my ice cream cones. We had them for a birthday party. I think that is the only thing that's kind of pre-made in there, but I'll run you through it and we'll kind of go through what I've got in there. Apart from my sauces and condiments and stuff like that, the only things that are packaged are the taco shells and the ice cream cones. So I'll be using those, and then we'll replace them with the funds that we make from the farm as the year goes on, as I need to. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm out of my comfort zone a bit. A little bit vulnerable, but if I don't make myself accountable, I'll never achieve this. So, and this is what we moved out here for, is complete self-sufficiency. So, I am enjoying going on this journey and documenting it and journaling it, to look back on and to hopefully inspire others to grow, not 100% of their own food, because it is ridiculous and it takes a lot of time and a lot of commitment, but 5%, 10%, 50%, anything like that is a great contribution to your family's health and to the environment. So hopefully someone who's watching this will start growing at least one thing for the family, because that would be super, super cool. I'm going to go through my pantry really quickly with you guys. I'll leave an in-depth list of what I have in my pantries in the description. I probably won't update this every day because it'll be way too painful, but maybe a monthly update on how my pantry stores are going. Now this is how my pantry always looks, fullness wise. I always have a very well stocked pantry, I always have, and I buy everything in bulk. So basically here I've got my Rapadura sugar, I've got some olive oil up here, a few honeys and nut butters, and then I've got all my sauces and vinegars through here with a few spices. In this drawer I've got all my nuts and seeds, and as you can see I've got a fairly well stocked supply of nuts and seeds. I have been running this down, but maybe not enough. This was a bit of a last minute decision to do this challenge. And then in here I've got my salts, my teas, and more of my bulk spices. Okay, and over to this pantry I've got my nuts, my dried fruits, some of my flours, a little bit of coconut cream, my almond flour, and just a few other bits and pieces, my seeds and my coconut products. And then in this drawer I've got all my beans and my rices and stuff like that, my pulses, and I'll just move this chair, so I've been stock taking in here. I've got my flours, so I've got my heritage wheat in here, a few of my extra sauces, and some sugar down there. I use the sugar mainly for kombucha and for preserving. So, and this is what I've got. Back over here. And then over in this pantry, I've got all my extra jars and some of the preserves that I preserved from last season. Sorry if it's really dark, but it is, the light is going down. I've got some tomato paste, beetroot, some preserved capsicum, a relish that was gifted to us, some mushrooms that have been preserved in oil by a friend, some jams and some crabapple jelly, and some relishes. I'm pretty sure that's it, and a heap of apple juice. Sorry, I've got a heap of apple juice that we preserved last end of summer. And then down here I've got some tallow if I run out of coconut oil, which I probably will, and my spare vinegars, and then again more, sorry the lighting's really bad, but more apple juice back here, and more empty jars. And up on my shelf I've got a few more preserves. It is really messy up there, I apologise, but that is life. And then let's go to my fridge. I've got a little bit in here. So I've got some eggs in the door, a little bit of cheese, that's the last bit of cheese, a little bit of milk, some yogurt, a little bit of cream, some avocados that I bought locally, some of my open sauces and condiments, a chook, chicken stock, some quince paste, some more sauces, my chinotto cordial, these are dates, some butter and some whey at the back. So I'm hoping this will get me through quite a few months. I will need to buy some more dairy soon to make some more butter because we use a lot of butter. But I've got about $46 in here, which will get me 10 litres of milk and 4 litres of cream-ish. So that's pretty good. I've got a little bit of flour in there to get me through. I make sourdough with it. A 25 kilo bag of that flour is $75, so I'll need to sell a bit more produce to get another one of those, but I should have enough for another month or two because we don't eat much sourdough bread. But we've got a few Tagasaski plants in the hothouse which are selling for about $1 each at the moment. So I'm hoping that we can sell a couple of hundred of those and that will get me a bag or two of flour.